What's up, bro?
How's it going?
Dude, this is my cousin Jeff Galvin. If you guys don't know, another one of the Galvin clan.
Yeah, we got a few.
Yeah, no, we have definitely a lot. We have one more to get to, and we'll have the whole group.
He's got the longest hair out of all of us, so.
I'm jealous. I wish I had that kind of hair.
Yeah, I don't.
Why? You
I
look
like my fine, straight hair.
You look like you're growing it out.
No, I'm just lazy and I haven't got a haircut.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I got like a nice Jufro going on, and apparently it's supposed to fall at some point, but it just keeps growing, and I think it's going to eat my head at one point.
Yeah, see where it goes.
So, one thing that you're super into right now, and I think you're batshit crazy for it, but it's pretty fucking dope, is Gamestop.
Oh yeah, hard into GameStop.
See, this I knew you were gonna want to talk about this one. Okay, my question is, why did you invest in GameStop, and why the fuck are you still holding on?
Oh man, so that goes back to so I was on a subreddit, Wall Street Bets. I've been on it for a few years, losing a lot of money that way, which is the whole thing. Back in late November, I saw a post talking about GameStop, how short interest and how there's a lot to it, and Ryan Cohen possibly like buying the company. So I started reading into it, and I just got to the conclusion it's a dying retail store with no future. So I just laughed. And then a few weeks later, I saw another post, and I read into it, and I'm like, wait, maybe this guy might be onto something. And as any idiot online would do, I threw all the money I could at it based off of about 5 minutes of reading.
That's a fair thing to do.
Stranger's post. Yeah.
At the end of the day, just fucking throw your money at the internet, right?
So I had pretty much, I think, $15,000 in my savings.
You put all that money in?
Oh, no, not at first. I put about $10,000 was my initial investment in the mid-December. And I had a few option calls, which are basically like short-term gambles, which I sold them at the first when it went from $20 to $30 after the Ryan Cohen announcement that he's joining the board of directors. Definitely would have made way more, probably $50,000. I think
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
I had 10 option calls that actually expired the week after the January run-up, so it might have been over like a couple $100,000.
So why the fuck did this happen? Like, do you have any idea how it went?
Yeah.
Do you think it started as a meme stock? Is it still a meme stock?
So this is just after months of research, and I do want it to be known I have never sold a single stock, and I don't plan to until Citadel is close their business.
Who is Citadel?
So this relates back to GameStop.
Are you down with the man right now? Fuck them.
Oh, definitely down with the man. But this relates back. So GameStop was falling on harsh times. I think the old board of directors, the old CEO, didn't really have a clear direction for it. Gaming's moving online. I'm a PC gamer. I haven't bought a physical game in years and years. So I think a lot of hedge funds and big, like places like Melvin Capital, Point72 with Steve Cohen, they saw this and they said, okay, like this is a failing business. We'll short it. And long the neck, shorting is when you borrow a stock. You go, hey, you have 10 shares of GameStop. Can I borrow those 10? And I will pay you interest. And they say, sure. So you borrow them and you sell them. And the way shorters make money is if if the price goes down, they rebuy those 10, give them back to who they borrowed from. And they've just made how much the difference, So if it goes from $10 to $5 and you borrowed 10,000 stocks, you just made, what is that? $100,000, whatever. $50,000, you make that money. So that's how shorters make money. And I think the shorters went hog wild and they kept shorting GameStop. And there is now this is theoretical territory, but there's something called naked shorting, which is where market makers and larger hedge funds they don't borrow stocks. They just sell stocks they don't own under the illusion that they'll buy them back later. And because of the way our stock system is set up with T+2 and failure to delivers, if I sell you something, you can basically give an IOU and you'll say, I'll get it to you eventually. I'm a big hedge fund. I'm a big market maker. I'll eventually give those stocks back to you. And I don't think they did. And I think that they thought GameStop was going out of business. So they just kept selling and selling and selling shares. And then when Ryan Cohen joined the board of directors, when all this positive press around it, I think it became a meme stock. People saw the short interest. They said, hey, let's, make some money. Shot up to 300. People were making, hand over fist money.
Yeah.
And these big hedge funds were losing. You know, say you borrowed 1 million shares at $10. Well, the price is now 300. That's $290 times a million. So you're down almost $300 million. Just for an example.
Oh my God, this is a lot of fucking cash.
A lot of money.
And they're playing around with it like it's nothing.
And I honestly believe that they're balls deep. And I think that they're underwater. So that's when Robinhood stepped in. And, you know, as the broker for the people, they decided to give the people a dicking down.
Yeah, the big Robin Hood dick in the ass. Yeah.
It's a classic.
At the end of the day, you can make a lot of money right now, but here's a handful of dicks I'm not letting you sell.
Exactly. So I think that caused a lot of panic selling. And I remember I was actually at work. This was my old job. I was a surgical veterinary technician. So I was actually in surgery, monitoring a dog. I think it was a spay. It was an abdomen, the vet was in the abdomen. So I was monitoring the anesthesia, and I had my phone, and I was talking with.
You were checking stuff.
I was, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think people think surgery is a lot more involved. As a tech, I literally just sit there and go, "Yep, dog's alive," for 2 hours. I was talking with one of the other surgical techs, like, "Oh, I'm making all this money, you know, blah blah blah," and then I saw Robinhood stopped, and the price I think bucketed back to $100, and so my initial stocks I had 336 in January, and I remember my dad texting me like, "Dude, sell. Did you not see, look, it's bucketing. It's going to go back down to zero." And I remember looking at that, and my first thought was, holy shit, I had, I think earlier that day, 200,000, because it in pre-market, I think it was up to 200,000. That's how much money I had. That's life-changing for me.
That's insane.
And I looked, and I think it was down to 60,000. And I'm like, I just lost 140,000. And I remember there was a moment of panic, and then there was a moment of yeah, go fuck yourself. I refused to ever sell. And that was the moment, in my head, I said that this isn't about money anymore to me. I mean, granted, it is. It's about making.
Of course, it's about money. Everybody wants to make money.
But it's also a stubbornness of, the people at the top. And I'm not even talking the 1%. I'm talking the 0.00001%.
Yeah.
The people who have you look at the amount of money.
So much money, and they can wipe their assholes with the $100 bills.
It's insane. Some people can fly themselves to space because they got bored.
With a cowboy hat.
Pretty much.
I mean, that's where the money is.
So,
if you wear a cowboy hat, your stock goes up.
So you know what I said? I'm like, these people can't even fucking handle losing one time that they're going to do all this illegal shit. I'm like, no. Go fuck yourselves. So I watched it go back down to, I think it hit $38. And it was the day after DFV, D-fucking value, the guy who just rode GameStop. He was in it for years before this, and he was in front of Congress, and he was just like, you know what? I like the stock. I support retail's investors' decisions. And I transferred from Robinhood to Fidelity, and then I put every single dollar in my bank account into GameStop. At that time, I had $11,200. I put $10,000, grabbed it, threw into GameStop, that $1,100. I'm like, that is my safety fund, because my logic is I'm never going to sell. So I don't want to put all my money in my car breakdown and me be fucked and have to sell. I refuse. So I put it all, bought it again at that dip. I bought it at $46. And then it's been up and down, went to 350, back down, 350, back down. It's just every step of the way, I'm on Super Stonk, the subreddit, just reading all the DD, reading all the information.
Is that the Reddit you would talk about now?
Yeah,
Wall Street Bets
Wall Street Bets sold out.
You think?
Yeah, no, they gave Vlad a big old reach around, and sold out. And I think some of the mods did. Some of the mods just they're like, we don't give a shit about GameStop. Get this shit out of here. So then we went to r/GME, and then that was a disaster. So I'm on Super Stonk. It's got a bunch of smart people.
All right, so everybody go to Super Stonk now.
Yeah,
hopefully we find something big.
I mean, you can, if you just read into it, and honestly, I believe that a lot of people are misinformed about GameStop. Before I knew about it, I'm like, this is a dying company. There's no direction, but they have over $1 billion in cash, no long-term debts. They're investing in maybe the NFT space. They have an entire dev team possibly behind it. There's so many directions they can go. And I honestly believe that with or without a squeeze, the stock is grossly undervalued.
Of course. So you could say that the stock in GameStop stock could actually eventually not even be a meme. It could just be I don't know who owns Steam. Is Steam privately owned?
Steam is Valve,
So
but they're privately
exactly.
owned.
So what you could say is they could be Steam, and all of a sudden they're a public, stock. So imagine Steam. I don't know if Valve's public. Valve's not public, right? Because I remember trying to get some of that. But if that's public, that's huge. That you're looking at thousands or some shit.
The market share of gaming, it's one of the fastest growing industries, and you got to think that. Now, is the shutdown? Is part 2 of the shutdown going to happen? Like, I feel like there's a lot of weird stuff going on with that.
Yeah, nobody knows,
and
really.
The first shutdown was great for gaming. Everyone was stuck inside. Everyone started gaming, and I feel like a lot of people who didn't game before are now maybe into it. And I think that there's a lot of potential for GameStop.
There's not a lot to do right now with
exactly.
And if there is another shutdown, which I really don't, I hope not, because
me
then
too.
As is, you go to a mall right now, and I went to my close mall, Bridgewater, and all the stores are closed.
Yeah.
Everything's closed, and the reason why, from what I heard, is they went up to some company, or like Starbucks isn't there anymore, and you would think Starbucks is a huge company, they could afford it. They said basically, buy this 3-year deal with us, or you can't stay here. 3-year automatic, nothing you can do about it. That's what we're gonna do. That's fucking wild. So they said, no.
Yeah.
We're out. I mean, we'll leave. We're not going to pay an insane amount of money just because you want. And that's what scares me with another lockdown. But of course, on the other side of that, people like you who are invested in GameStop stock or something like that, gaming starts hitting up again. GameStop stock starts not being a meme, and then you have an actual stable stock. And it's fucked up because when I was a kid, we did the 8th grade stock market test. I bought GameStop stock.
Oh, man.
I bought GameStop stock. I bought Nike, GameStop, Under Armour, and whatever, but GameStop. And now I think back and I'm like, fuck me, sideways. I could have been a millionaire right now. I'm so pissed.
Hey.
So what would you say to people who are holding on to GameStop right now?
You know what I say? Just keep buying, keep holding. Honestly, I do believe in the MOAS. All I know is that somebody is a high triple X holder. Now I am.
What's that?
I own 585 shares.
Yeah,
that's how many shares I own right now. I refuse to sell until my whole thing with selling too. I'm kind of over the whole idea of money and the concept of I have a great job, a good job right now. I make a decent bit of money, but we're all trapped. We're all wage slaves right now.
Yeah, of course.
That say I sold at $200,000, so I have $200,000. I can put a down payment on a house that I'll never be able to afford? Like, no, fuck that shit. I will sell when me and all the people I care about never have to work again. And I'm going to try to wait as long as I can so the people who own less shares than me have a chance out too. Yeah. I think that's also I think a lot of people did sell in January, but I think the core group of people who didn't have just keep buying more, and they're similar to me. They're like-minded in the sense that they're like, you can have my shares when you go out of business. Thank you very much.
So as somebody who has a lot of shares at this point, do you feel responsible for holding on?
No, I don't feel responsible for anybody else.
Yeah.
I am in the position where I think that kind of like a prisoner's dilemma type situation, that if everyone goes into it thinking, hey, I'm going to try to sell early, I'll try to make money, well, that's where it will end,
Exactly.
But if everyone holds, everyone will make more money.
That's the issue, though, is, people start to get nervous. Like you said, you had that little bit of fear in the beginning.
100%.
But some people can't get over that. Some people think, oh, shit, we got to jump ship right now. Yeah. Like, I know Dave's invested in it right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
How's he doing right now with it?
He's nervous. I think, honestly, I think that he probably will sell on the way up. But, hey, if that's what you got to do to make your, anxiety, or that's what you got to do, man.
Of course. And somebody who's in your position, you have a lot of money at stake. And for what you're telling me, I forgot, we talked about this once, and you said, at the end of the day, I either start back to where I was with less money, or I'm in a position where I have a lot of money and I fucked over these people. Or not fucked over, you fucked over this company.
And I never have to work again.
Exactly.
I think that there is a market crash coming. I think that's a separate issue,
of course,
relating to GameStop. And I honestly do believe that if it does happen, they'll correlate with each other in the sense that, hey, I'm short X amount of shares. Well, now everything else is down, and now I got the bank that I borrowed from Colin, so I'll have to cover. And I think that the media will spin that as to GameStop causing the crash and not the gross negligence of the Fed right now.
Well, that's what's scary, is that the stock market is so influenced by so few people. I remember in my college course for sociology, they were talking about how Warren Buffett, if he wanted to, could just change the stock market completely with his money. So that's where I start to think, I don't want to get into too many conspiracies, but you start thinking about like, oh my God, are these motherfuckers really just like controlling everything? Dude. Are they causing crashes on purpose?
Telling you, it's rabbit holes. I mean, you can look back to the COVID crash back in, what was that, February 2 years ago? February 2020, February, I think.
Crazy.
The COVID crash.
It's almost fucking 2 years ago.
I forget. I think there were a handful of senators and congressmen that during the briefing, because Senate got the briefing like, hey, we're going to shut down. They went and sold all their stocks. That's illegal. That's illegal. That's insider trading. But they did it because the people who make the laws don't
get affected. I mean, that's what it is. You think about right now, someone in New York, Cuomo just resigned.
Yep.
Did you hear? I don't know. I didn't hear the exact thing he said, but there's a meme going around saying, I think it was like, I didn't sexually harass her. I'm just Italian. Like, oh yeah,
that's a good defense.
Yeah, that's gonna hold up in court, and I guarantee he won't get in trouble anymore. Yeah. Since he stepped down, I bet he won't get in trouble.
Because I mean, if you have money, shit doesn't matter to you. I mean, like, you can look at Cosby, and like, sure, I think that like one of the big things with Cosby was that they mishandled his case.
Yeah, they fucked up completely.
Like, yeah, but like, if he didn't have money, wouldn't have a lawyer to dig through and get him out.
Oh, of course. That one lawyer who figured out the smallest detail. Yeah. You really think that a regular schmuck could find a lawyer, like someone who couldn't afford a lawyer? They get one of the ones appointed to them. Yeah. You think that lawyer's really gonna give a fuck?
On top of he has 15 other cases that day. It's crazy.
Of course.
Money rules everything.
And it's sad to say that that's how society is. There are very few people. No, I don't like to say it's very few people, but I would say that the evil, or not evil, it's hard to put into words. Not evil, but the power hungry control most of what's going on, and it's hard to overlook what they do. The thing that freaks me out with Bill Gates, how he had conversations with Epstein, and you start digging into that, and you're like, well, what the fuck is going on there? Why is this guy who's supposed to be awesome, went on Reddit, get Reddit Secret Santa, always put cool gifts, all of a sudden you're hearing that he was talking to somebody who is a sexual predator?
I mean, you just look at Epstein's book. That whole thing got blown over.
Did they release it?
No,
fully?
But like there was. It might have not been released fully. I'm not 100% sure, but I looked
because it would ruin society. I truly believe it would ruin
Bill Clinton's name was all over that. Like,
shit. Everybody knows Bill Clinton does that shit.
That's like you look at it, and I feel like
Clintons, don't kill me, please.
99% of people I think would come right now and be like, yeah, Epstein didn't kill himself.
Oh, of course not. Bullshit. Total bullshit.
Everyone knows it. But nothing was done because the people who could investigate it are like, oh, my name's in that book.
Well, I don't think you heard me say this. I believe that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, or the Clintons in general, the Clinton Foundation, made the meme Epstein didn't kill himself to cover it. To be like, dude, it's such a meme that he didn't kill himself that he did kill himself. It's a conspiracy. Dude, that's bullshit, man. But the Clintons have killed people. Like, it's almost proven at this point that they've killed people.
Well, you just got to Pokemon Go to the polls. Like that. I think that, like, honestly should be written somewhere in like a history book, is like how to prove that somebody's so disjointed and disingenuous to the rest of society.
It's so fucked to think about, man. Like, I don't understand how we allow it to happen, but I do understand, because like you said, we're trapped in a way. Most people, average guys, are trapped in this. I gotta wake up, gotta go to work, gotta make my money. The money that I make is a lot, but the money that I make is a lot is going to my bills, my mortgage, my this, and you have to keep going. And it's hard to take a risk. It's hard to jump ship and just say, you know what? If I fail, I'm going to be poor. If I succeed, great, I'm up there. But people really are trapped.
Who wants to be the first hamster to jump out of the wheel, you know?
Exactly.
It's crazy. And I think that relates back to the GameStop thing. That, I mean, if it goes back down to zero, I'm in literally the exact same position I am right now.
Yeah, you're back on the wheel.
Yeah, I'm on the wheel right now. So my thing, unless I can if I can't break the chains that hold me and break the chains that people I care about, what the fuck is the point? I'll keep holding.
Say it works out. Say you have money that'll change your life, and you will literally be a multi-millionaire. what do you do?
First thing, I want to travel the world. I have a bucket list. I want to see the Northern Lights. I want to. I spent some time in Australia, as you know. I want to go back to Australia.
So cool. I want to go so
Japan.
bad. Japan, dude. We got to go together. I'm
Dude,
down. Me,
the
you,
weeb in me.
You, Kirsten, Steph, dude. I have wanted to go to Japan for so long.
Me too, man.
Her cousin, Steph's cousin, is marrying a military man, and he might be stationed in Japan. And he asked Steph's cousin, will you go with me to Japan and live there? She's a huge anime person. She's like, yeah, 100%. I was so fucking jealous.
Dude, I wouldn't want to live in Japan because I know it's insanely xenophobic and like there are a lot of like cultural issues. But I would love to go there to visit. Like,
of course.
See the cherry blossoms, buy a bunch of Pokemon cards. A lot of Pokemon would be involved.
Just basically Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like nothing else.
But yeah, no, I'd do that world trip. I'd get all the brothers. I get you, Steph. I get like my best friend Joe. I get like everybody that like, you know, we'd fucking go on a world trip. We'd come back, and I've now that, because I've thought about it a lot, like what if this does work?
Of course you would.
I want to set up like not a foundation. I just want to like buy a chunk of property, build a bunch of nice houses, and just like be like, okay, like people can live here. Like people who are down on their luck, like, you know, some guy who's like, damn, like I just lost my job, I have nowhere to live. Come crash as long as you want. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Like obviously the worry is like, oh, a bunch of drug addicts are gonna go there and just like ruin the place. Dude, if they need a place to do their drugs and place to bum around, here's a good little place, you know.
That's also another thing that is wild to think about. You know, they're starting to legalize more drugs, which in my opinion, I've had debates with certain people about these things, and I understand why drugs are legal, but at the same time, if somebody is OD'd and they have a lot of drugs on them and then they get arrested, how is that fair? Somebody's addicted to something and they have a really bad time, and, you know, say they have heroin and they have a lot of heroin on them. Right then, you're getting arrested for it after you're getting OD'd. If you have an addiction, you have a problem. You look at alcohol. Alcohol is literally fucking poison.
Yep.
And a lot of people have talked about how drugs and alcohol, and it's not fair that alcohol's, you know, allowed. If you really, you know, what's wild to me is the marijuana shit. How it became illegal, and today we just overlook it like, oh, but it's still bad. Well, asshole, the whole reason we think it's bad is because some rich guy that we've talked about, you know, we've talked about the 1%, some rich guy, he was fucking with his business, so he's like, let's make it illegal.
Yep.
So I don't understand that with the drugs aspect of it. I get it that, you know, marijuana is, you know, not great for you.
Yep.
But at the same time, alcohol is worse. Alcohol fucks you. I know alcohol is the only drug in the world where if you cut cold turkey, you'll die. Yep. Like, it's fucking wild, man.
Well, I mean, like heroin too, but like...
Oh, no. I thought you could cut that cold turkey and you won't die.
You could go through withdrawal.
Well, withdrawal.
I'm not a medical expert, by the way, but I thought withdrawal. But
have you seen dogs on, you know, drugs and alcohol?
No. I've seen rats addicted to cocaine.
No, you haven't.
Yeah.
Fucking bullshit.
Some of the labs I worked in.
Why?
They do like cocaine testing and like just like addiction testing. I mean, that's some of my background was I took an entire class on like basic behavioral modifications. Like one of our giant things was addiction, and like kind of what you were saying, that we treat people addicted to something as if they're a criminal. I link that back to for-profit prisons and how disgusting the concept of that is.
Oh my God, privatized prisons make no sense.
Yeah.
How does it make sense?
Did you see, I forget what state it is. I think it was Mississippi. Could have been one of the M ones, Michigan or something. They got sued and they had to pay $2 million to a private prison because they had a contract saying, hey, you have to give us whatever amount, like 1,000 inmates per year. And they didn't meet the quota. So they had to pay them $2 million. Like, you didn't arrest enough people. What? How is this society? As a society, you should be like, hey, you didn't arrest enough people. It's good. That means that, you know, maybe like we're doing some good stuff. Or say somebody overdoses and you find a bag of cocaine. You're like, I want to find the person who sold this cocaine. You go find him. And you're like, I want to find the manufacturer and shut that down. I mean, I think a lot of people get behind that. Of
course, that makes sense. Yep. Stopping the source is a lot better than stopping the people who are forced to do that.
Yeah.
Like these people, most of the time, drug dealers aren't doing this to, you know, a lot of the time these drug dealers aren't doing this just because they want to. Mm-hmm. Some of them are on hard times. Some of them, you know, go back to it because it is easy to sell drugs. It's not hard to sell drugs.
It's a hard thing to get caught up in. But
exactly.
On that topic, if you sell opioids, Nobody gives a shit because,
No.
the Sacklers. That is a name that is not in the media, and it should be. The Sacklers are the family behind the opioid epidemic. In the 80s and 90s, they published research. They funded research to show that OxyContin, I think it was OxyContin is not addictive. They published research. Well, it turns out they lied. They gave money to people to publish false data. And by the time the FDA found out about it, they said, I think they made them pay like a $250 million fine. Bitch, they just made billions of dollars. That fine is nothing to what they made. Now, I think it's like the most addicted thing.
Really? I never heard of that.
The Sacklers.
Of course I haven't heard of that. It makes no sense.
It's opioids, and there have been some studies in California, granted they're early, that show marijuana is a better pain reliever.
I could totally see that. I could totally understand.
In dogs, granted, again, I know more about dogs than human medicine. Opioids are a terrible pain reliever, and I think it's the same with humans. They're not an analgesic. Like, they don't help relieve pain. They just make you high so you forget about it. Like, that's not a good... That's like fucking getting a sword wound and just, like, putting some duct tape on it. Like, yeah, it might work for Mark Wahlberg in a movie. But, like, as a society, we should be like, let's stitch that up a little bit.
Yeah, of course. You're not alleviating the pain. You're just making your brain think it's not there.
And they're getting addicted to it, so you go and buy more.
I went through withdrawal when I had my wisdom teeth out.
Oh, yeah?
And I had really bad dry sockets, so they gave me extra dosage. They gave me, like, I was on it for like 2 weeks almost. I was on the, I think it was OxyContin.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, when you stop that, you really feel it. Like, you are addicted to something within either a week or a week and a half. And I'm telling you, it is hard to not want it. And in my head, I wasn't too far in, so I was able to just be like, okay, whatever, this sucks. But at night, you're starting to get the sweats a little bit. You're feeling it. You're like, damn, I really want this.
Imagine being on that for months. Like, you break your leg really bad. So they're like, here, take an Oxy every night before bed for 3 months. And at the end, and then they just tell you, okay, you're done.
As
Bye.
people, we are definitely getting more and more dependent on drugs.
Oh,
like
yeah, 100%.
anything, even Advil. Like, I look at Advil and I try not to use it as much as I did, but I realized anytime I had like a headache or something like that, the first thing I think of, oh, I want Advil. When I started realizing the marketing for that. Whenever you have a headache, what do you grab? You grab Advil, Tylenol, or one other thing. And I have a feeling that it was somehow put into our brains like, hey, you know, anytime you have a headache, go to Tylenol, Advil, or this. And then sometimes you hear that the same company makes all of them. Yep. It's fucked, man.
Marketing, it's diamonds, like engagement rings. Say you want to propose to your girlfriend, you're going to get a diamond more than likely. And that's for me because I hate diamonds. Diamonds weren't a goddamn thing as an engagement ring until I think it was like the 20s or 30s or some shit when diamond companies started the ad campaign that diamonds are forever. Diamonds mean love. If you don't get it. Diamonds aren't that rare of a mineral. There's one company that basically... one giant company that mines most of the diamonds on Earth, and they hold an artificial chokehold on it. And they only give a little bit to us peasants. And then we spend all of our hard-earned money on some hard carbon that we can make in a lab. Like, you can make lab diamonds. Why is it so expensive? And then I hate the blood diamond thing. Oh, this is a blood-free diamond? How can you trace that? You don't mine a diamond out of the ground with like a GPS tracking chip. Like, oh, this one's from Africa. You can tell all the blood smeared around it. Like, it's my Canadian free. It's just, it's coated in seal blood.
Like, it's crazy. It's
insane.
And then the thing with the diamond thing, I remember it was, what was it? 3 months wages for, you're supposed to say, fuck off. 3 months wages. I'm about to buy you a fucking ring pop or one of those,
dude,
like
the 25-cent like twisty thing.
Yeah, just grab you one of those.
If you're in love with somebody, like, I don't think there's. I mean, there probably have been people, but like, hey, like, do you want to marry me? But like, I would have said yes, but that's a weak-looking diamond.
Fucking diamond looks like shit, bro. It shouldn't be about, and a lot of people nowadays, and I keep saying that. I'm trying to focus on not saying the same words, but it is true. A lot of people focus on appearances rather than genuine emotion. Oh. And, you know, regardless of, you know, love and feeling and affection and stuff like that, if you really do have a strong attraction to somebody, that's all you really need. Yeah. You just need that, and make sure it's not toxic. Make sure it's not bullshit. You know, you're going after the wrong things. Like, if you're only after it for sex, you're only after it for money, that's not going to work out in the long run. Well, or it will, and you'll be miserable for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck is a diamond? Why the fuck is a bigger ring or a different style? Or why is that going to make a difference? Because they drilled it into your brain.
I think humans are like crows, where we see something shiny and we want it, and we want to squirrel it away in our little shiny nest without realizing that we're just dumb fucking birds. Like, if crows spent half the time they did chasing shiny things as evolving thumbs, they'd be way better off.
Fuck thumbs.
I'm telling you, if a crow one day just sits there, just really thinks about
Can
it.
you imagine if we just didn't have fucking thumbs?
Just sitting there, just like, duh.
That would make life so much harder.
Yeah.
Don't like thumbs really, because you studied monkeys and stuff like.
primates,
Don't
yeah.
thumbs really make a difference?
They just give a lot of like manual dexterity, because you got to think, like a lot of the animals, they have their thumbs up here. It's like higher up on their hands.
Ew.
It's more for grabbing and like gripping, rather than like we have it for manually dexterity. Like we need to grab things and manipulate things because we're tool users as humans. And a lot of primates kind of have that more like manual dexterity. Versus dogs, like their dew claws are generally used for like balance and like helping like climb.
Yeah.
Humans are just kind of a shit animal. I was just actually talking about that earlier. Like,
Really?
dude, we're just a shit animal. Like, we don't have tails. That's a shit animal.
Why do you need a tail?
Well, like a prehensile tail, or just like something else to.
What is a tail? I never understood. What does a tail do?
Like a prehensile tail is just like an extra appendage, basically.
For what?
Like I know primate species will use the prehensile tail for like grabbing things and holding on to branches for extra stability. We're hairless pretty much, so we just freeze to death in most environments, and we get too hot too quickly. Like if you see a big husky, and you're like, oh, it's summertime, that dog's too hot. It has an inner coating of hair that keeps the cold, like it keeps it thermoregulated.
Yeah.
Humans don't have that because we're a shit animal. We're smart. That's it.
And our teeth suck too.
Why don't we have shark teeth?
I agree. What the like? I don't understand. We are, but the one thing that separates us, can't you just say, is consciousness?
I would argue that.
What do you think consciousness is? Can we identify it, and do you think it's in the brain?
I mean, it's hard to identify because I feel like it's such a broad word. Like that's like personally, it's like, how do you even define consciousness? So how can you even discuss whether animals have it? And again, my background is animal behavior, so this is like a big thing that I can speak to as far as animals. Like I would argue that animals don't have consciousness because it's a purely human thing, but that's only because it's a purely human definition. Like animals can think and they can understand and they can recognize self. They're animals that can recognize self. There was the bird that came up with a novel word. Like primates have never done that. Like people with the sign language. A bird came up with I think it was an apple orange. It was shown a fruit that it had never seen before, and it came up with its own word using, I think they called it an apple orange or something like that. And that's huge as far as like, because it recognizes something new, it uses words it kind of knows and are similar to it to form a new novel word. So I would say animals are smart. They recognize, some can recognize self, and they do have a consciousness. It just depends on your definition. Yeah.
So if you were to say human consciousness, you would say is different, right? Compared to most animals, I would say.
Yeah, to an extent. I think humans are very self-indulgent. We like to pretend we're super unique when it's just like we just won the evolutionary arms race.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I do think humans are special. I think I remember in one of my classes, one of my teachers always honed in as far as evolution that fire was the big thing, and not for meat. Cooked meat, the proteins are much more easily digestible, so our body could spend all the energy it normally uses to digest raw meat, and those proteins, it could use them for other purposes. That was a huge step in human evolution, that we had this basically excess energy. Now we could focus on our minds and our different parts of our body just because cooked proteins.
Really? And that probably helped develop
exactly.
us in
like
a lot of ways.
Child development probably helped out because, again, easier to digest. Like the mother's able to produce more better quality milk for their offspring. Yeah, I think like stuff like this, small stuff like that definitely snowballs.
Do you think consciousness is in the brain?
I'm not a spiritual person, so I don't think there's anything besides our physical being. Yeah. So, I mean, they're definitely like, I think consciousness is a bunch of different parts of our brain working together.
I could totally say there have been forgot, it was a scientist. I don't really completely remember his name. He said that consciousness possibly could come from a different area. Not even spiritual, just like a main source that created life, not God or anything, nothing along those lines, but like the creation of the universe. I forgot, it was like we're made of stardust or something along those lines. That's a concept. Is that same concept could be used where every living thing was given some kind, regardless of how big or small that was created. There's a little tiny piece of consciousness in each thing.
Be interesting.
Which is a weird concept. I just like to go down the rabbit hole of a lot of different
all those
things.
what ifs and stuff.
Because I talk to people I've talked to religious people, I've talked to purely atheist people, I've talked to people who won't even identify as either. They just say, at the end of the day, I always say, I don't know where the fuck anything comes from. I don't think anybody's going to fucking know until, we kick the bucket, or hopefully we hit that one big... Uncle Steve was on recently, and he said that one day with the neuroscience, he says, we barely know anything. Yeah. He says, we're waiting for that one Galileo moment where it's a eureka, and it's holy fuck, this just opens up a brand new idea of questions. That's what I'm interested when we start thinking of consciousness and animals who are conscious, and like you start to realize that, like you said, animals have a different definition of consciousness. Yeah. That's fucking cool.
And it's like I always hate the term smart. Like, oh, this animal's smart. I mean, granted, I do think some animals are dumb and as shit animals.
Brick's a genius.
The koala is just a completely dog shit animal, and I honestly hate the fact that it still exists. It is.
What do you got against koalas, bro?
Dumb as actual stumps. Like, I'm pretty sure an inanimate object would understand life more than the koalas. Like, they eat the shittiest, least nutritious food. They're just honestly a shit animal.
Don't they have chlamydia?
They have chlamydia, and it runs rampant because they're fucking sexual fiends, and all they do is like rape each other to death and just spread chlamydia.
Koalas just die from that.
They sometimes fall off out of trees. Yeah.
Why?
Because the male just like viciously attacks the female. Like in the struggle, they fall. Because again, they're shit animals.
Drop bears.
So there's a species in Australia called the tree kangaroo. They're awesome, super fluffy, but they haven't evolved how to climb down trees yet. So when you think of a squirrel, it goes up the tree, then it turns around and goes down the tree. Tree kangaroos are dumb.
They don't know how to get down.
They go up the tree. Well, they don't know how to face downward to go down, so they just hop themselves down.
That's genius.
Scoot down.
Fuck you. That's genius.
It's cool because it shows that like these creatures haven't they're kind of mid-evolution. They learned how to climb a tree, but they're still working on that getting down.
That's where we got the idea for firefighters going down poles.
Yeah,
they just start skirting down.
It doesn't make sense. Why do we grab with our hands and slide? We should honestly dive down. It would make more sense.
Why would we dive down? What if we hit our heads?
You know what? You're starting to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah,
the tree kangaroos have been asking.
See, the tree kangaroos know what's up. They're like, fuck those squirrels if they fall. And then with the squirrels randomly going at squirrels, I just found out that if they fall down from a building, they could survive because of the way their body moves.
Their terminal velocity caps, so you could throw it out of a plane and it would land fine.
That makes no fucking sense.
Okay, so think about it like when you fall, you're constantly gaining acceleration as you're falling, right? So you're getting faster and faster and faster. So when you hit, the force is great because you have all that speed. Squirrels are hackers. So as they fall, they hit a point where they no longer gain speed. So it's kind of like think of it like fall damage. That like everyone else falls and takes full damage. They have you only can take 50 fall damage at a time.
That's cheap.
Yeah, they got the legendary boots.
Why couldn't they teach us that?
Yeah.
See, that's another reason why humans are stupid.
I'm telling you.
We can't figure out how to do that.
Like, there's just so many cool things. Like, what if humans had this? And it's like, well, damn.
I wish I could fly.
We live such short. I mean, we live long.
Compared to animals, I guess, to a degree.
Jellyfish are theoretically immortal.
Oh, that's fair.
There's certain species, but granted, they're just almost inanimate objects.
Yeah, aren't they just blobs that really don't do anything?
They have a very primitive brain. Again, this is years since since college. I remember them having a very primitive brain that they're not even sure how to define it as a brain.
It's just kind of like a organism that chills and
kind of like fungus. Fungus are super different than everything.
God, you're getting into brain shit. That's confusing.
Dude, I wrote a 50-page paper on non-eutherian mammal brain evolution, and let me tell you, there is non-eutherian mammals are platypus and echidnas, and there's no information about that. So I remember 50 pages of me just going tried Googling it, didn't work. 50 pages.
Wait, what do you mean platypus? What's wrong with a platypus brain?
No, there's not much like information on their evolution. Like it's more like
that's your favorite animal still, isn't it?
red pandas. I love
Oh,
red
they
pandas.
overtook platypuses.
Yeah, they're so cute. I love them.
Platypus are the weirdest animals.
Dude,
they
they're
make
just
no
weird.
sense to me.
Echidnas have 4-headed penises, dude. Monotremes are fucking bizarre.
Like, what are they doing with it? Are there
don't-
4 vaginas on the animal?
I would assume it's more canals. Like I know, like, so okay, we can talk about penis shape.
Oh, great.
'Cause
Here we
this
go.
is-
This
this
is
is
the
something-
conversation I was
so-
excited for.
It evolutionarily, like penis shape generally means like how people breed. Like humans have the head, which is the idea behind that is to scoop out competitor semen after sex.
Wow.
Because we live generally in groups. Like primates live in groups, and the idea is it scoops out after sex. That's the idea behind it. And you have like duck penises, which are just fucking like rockets that explode out. Well, the idea is that the female duck vagina has a bunch of fake ends, so it explodes out basically to get to one of those ends, like come back in, do it again.
It's shooting for gold.
Yeah, and then you have like cat penises are barbed. The idea because cat sex is generally rape, so the penis wants to embed itself to allow finishing. Same with like dog penises with the knot that forms.
Animals are
That's
so
swelling.
beautiful.
Dude, I'm telling you, I think that stuff's like actually super interesting.
Oh, of course.
But dude, it's kind of back to the thing that some people call like certain animals dumb. It's like they're just evolved for certain things. Like koalas evolved to be the shittiest animal as like an example.
Wait, don't you hate pandas too?
Oh, dude, put them up with the koalas. They're going extinct because they're just. Granted, yes, habitat and destruction and humans are having an effect on it,
Yeah.
but they're also just going extinct because they're dumb and they eat bamboo and sleep and they don't have sex.
Isn't bamboo bad for them, or it's no
It's just not very nutritious.
And
So
they don't
it's-
have sex, right? That's
Yeah,
like
it's
their big thing.
Exactly, like they just don't breed very often. Like their breeding window is insanely small.
Dude,
So
they're
it's just like,
tired. They're looking for some more
do
bamboo.
we want to save the panda?
I watched a
No.
bamba or a bamba.
A bamba.
I watched a panda eat bamboo, and it was the cutest thing I've ever
Dude,
seen.
red pandas when they grab it.
Are they actual pandas?
No. They're more closely related to like raccoons.
Then why the fuck are they
it's been
called
their
pandas?
Ecological niche. Because they kind of look like pandas.
Aren't they super small?
Yeah, they're like, it depends. There's like the Westland red panda, like the Ailurus fulgens. There's 2 subspecies.
Dude,
The Ailurus fulgens.
see animals. I always thought animals were one of the most interesting things because you see this cute little cat and you think it looks so adorable, and then you find out that it's got a spiked dick.
Yep. Platypuses have venomous spurs, but only the males. The females, it's hollow on their back webbed.
For what?
They have
purpose?
electrosensors on their bills.
What does that mean?
So when they go underwater, the way they feed is they root around in riverbanks. Like they root around in all those rocks and they eat the crayfish.
Yeah.
Well, their eyes are closed because it's muddy. So they have electrosensors that sense movement. Like basically if a crayfish starts moving, it would sense that. And then they eat it. And the way they eat it, because again, they're weird. They grab a bunch of rocks in their mouth and they just grate the rocks and they use that kind of as teeth and they grate the crayfish.
What the fuck?
Because like their bill themselves, like they don't just eat the crayfish. They like eat all the different stuff and they grind it all up, like all the invertebrates and stuff. It's pretty
If you
cool.
could say you have one animal that you think is the most interesting, what would you say?
Octopus.
I knew you were gonna say octopus, man.
Octopus are-
I knew.
They can change their DNA like on a cellular level. That is the only animal that can do that. They have
Now, do they do it willingly?
I can't speak to it because I'm not an octologist.
Yeah, that's an actual
but yes,
thing.
I'm gonna. You know what? If I say it with confidence, people believe me. Yeah, they do it willingly. They're gonna take over the world.
They're just gonna.
Dude, they can regrow limbs. They're just crazy.
You ever see one go on a checkerboard and how it almost perfectly mimics a checkerboard?
Dude, they're crazy.
How are they? Are they the most intelligent animals on Earth? You think?
It's hard to define intelligence. Like a lot of people say dolphins, but dolphins are just fucking weird and like or
Dolphins are
primates.
horrible.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe how fucked. Like I was reading that dolphins will attack the other ones that look like dolphins. What are they called?
Porpoises.
Yeah, like they fuck them up.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah, they're
Just-
fucking savages.
But why?
They're savages. Do you like sea otters? Like sea otters are cute, right?
Oh God, don't do it.
Yeah. So sea otters
Don't do
will
it.
rape baby seals to death and just hold them underwater and drown them, and then just keep
Why?
because they're fucking savages.
Like you look at.
I'm telling you, you get in the water and everything's a goddamn savage.
You talk about how animals are evolving and they're getting, better. And then you have some asshole who's just like, yeah, let's go rape that thing and drown it.
Dude, there
Why?
was a vet at my old clinic that I'm friends with that wore a sea otter shirt. And I'm like, oh, you like sea otters? She's like, oh, I love sea otters. I'm like, I dropped that fact on her and she never wore it again.
Yeah, otters aren't all animals in general just fucked up.
Otters are fucking savage. At the Elmwood Park Zoo when I worked there, the only code red that I ever heard was a bird landed in the otter exhibit and they just tore it apart and there's blood everywhere. They're kind of like weasels. They're like water weasels.
Weasels are dicks too, aren't they?
I mean, they're just kind of like savage. I like weasels. Like I like ferrets and weasels and that whole like mink family. They're just kind of like giant predators.
What's the most savage animal you think?
Oh man,
Just rough like a savage.
shrew. Dude, shrews.
Shrew?
I'm pretty sure shrews like need to eat their entire body weight like every hour or something. It's like something crazy like that. They just need to keep eating. Like all they do is eat.
What do they eat?
Like worms and shit.
They're
Literally like Hitler to worms. It's like insane.
Worms. What do worms do?
Like they burn through so much energy that it's like hummingbirds. You know, hummingbirds like their heart beats so fast they just like keep needing to eat.
Yeah, they're like on coke.
Yeah, that's shrews. They're just literally, but they're predators.
Speaking of a bird that I think is wild is there's one near my house and it pisses me off every goddamn day is the woodpecker.
I love woodpeckers.
They annoy the shit out of me.
Oh,
7
so
in the morning
cool.
and all of a sudden I'm like, bro.
Have you ever
shut
seen
the
a pileated woodpecker? They're giant. They're these giant ass woodpeckers.
Bro, I can barely see the one that's near my house because he's so
Pileated.
fast and he just actually I did see him once. How the fuck is that guy not getting a concussion?
Their tongue wraps around their brain so they don't get a concussion. Fun facts. Their tongue. How
does one bird evolving just go, you know what? I'm gonna wrap my shit around my head and I'm gonna see what happens.
I would assume it's like anything. It's like I assume they just kept getting concussions because they're dumb, and then they just as time went on, like the ones that got concussions slowly died off. The ones with thicker skulls, it slowly worked its way in, and then there was probably a congenital like birth defect where one's like, I got a tongue around my brain, and that was the one that really made it.
It makes no sense how these fucking things come to be. It's so weird.
It's like eyes. Like, oh, humans are awesome. Our eyes are also shit. Like, some animals can like see miles in the distance, or like sharks can smell like a drop of blood. I can't smell shit. I'm also allergic to everything. Like, I walk outside and I sneeze. It's like, good, glad.
And then it's like with our eyes, yeah, they're great for like 20 to 30 years, and then they're shit.
Or for me, they're just never great. Like,
bro, that's so true. We have so many defects. Like, even the things that we are good at, which is like nothing. The best thing that we have eventually in like 10 or 20 years, it's just, oh yeah, you used to have that, now you're gone, you're fucked.
Yeah, what is that part of your body that like can rupture and explode?
Oh, the appendix?
The appendix, no, there's also a part too, there's like on your stomach. Is it the appendix can explode because that's an organ. No, there's a part of your stomach that can get like filled with shit and infected and it explodes too.
I know that the appendix, when you get appendicitis,
Yeah.
gets filled with stuff and it'll burst.
Maybe
and
it's
then
the appendix.
Yeah, that's
but it doesn't do anything?
No, it's the appendix. Appendix does. My mom had it. Basically, the appendix is like a useless organ, I guess.
Yeah,
and it
so does the
fills,
appendix.
and then if you don't get it treated, it'll burst, and then
Yeah.
you'll get sepsis and die.
Yeah.
So why?
It's apparently from what I know, I didn't know what it was called, but I guess it's the appendix. Used to be for plant storage, like it would ferment plants because old humans needed to do that.
Yeah.
But we don't need to do that. But it's a vestigial armament. That's what they're called. Things that have evolved and make no sense. Nipples, male nipples don't do anything.
That is true. Those don't make any
Vestigial
sense.
Armament, whatever how you pronounce that.
Yeah, but you'd look weird without nipples.
Yeah.
You would look really weird. You look smooth.
You look like an otter.
Well, what about the first animal that made a dick? Like, where did that come from?
Dude.
It was just like, fuck it. Let's
Hello,
grow.
ladies.
Like, how did it grow one? Like, not even trying to be weird, but the first animal that had a dick, where did that come from?
So, okay, this is going to be completely unfounded, but with confidence, people believe me, that I assume it came from, like, a way for fertilization is, like, you lay eggs and something comes over and just, like, sprays semen on it. Like, no dick really involved. And I assume it just slowly evolved from there. Like, some stuff with spraying. There's a type of fish. I forget what it's called. Think
dickfish.
Frogs do it, too. That there's two versions of the male. There's, like, the Chad male, big old fish. And there's these little beta males, and they're these little small little dicks, and they're small and they're shit, and they can't compete with the big guys. But what they do is that when the sexy female shoots all their eggs everywhere and the big fish comes to spray his semen, the little fish, because he's so small, will swim under the male and spray his semen too and fertilize some of those eggs.
Oh my god.
So there's two versions of the same fish.
Yeah.
I assume it just happened with like competition, that like one thing was like, okay, instead of shooting my stuff, I'm just going to go and like fuck the shit out of this one egg. And just went from there.
He just grew it. He just squeezed. And then all of a sudden you got a dick.
And all the other fish were like, damn.
You see a fish just going around. There's something dragging behind it. It's like
what?
I
Blue
want what
whales
that
have like a
guy's want.
6-foot dick or something.
This podcast has really been just about dicks, and I'm not against it. It's very interesting.
I got a lot of weird knowledge about animals.
I'm happy that you're here to talk
sexual
about.
Selection and reproduction was one of my like teachers' big things.
Yeah.
I was basically my background's primatology and sexual selection in mammals. So,
What got you into animals in general?
when I was a kid, I liked animals.
Why?
And
You just did.
they were furry and soft, and I didn't have friends. So I was like, you know what's cool? Animals. They won't judge me. So yeah, just liked animals as a kid. I always wanted to be a zookeeper, and that's what I went to school for. Scammed F&M into giving me a full ride because they're fucking losers.
Is that why you like Pokemon? Because they're animals.
I
can tell you're wearing
Pokemon's
the
so
fucking Charizard thing
nostalgic.
right now.
I love Pokemon. Even the Digimon card game.
I never watched Digimon.
I loved it as a
Pokemon.
kid, and the new card game came out, and I bought a box. I'm like, oh, these are cool, and nostalgic, and I need to stop spending money on D&D minis and Digimon and Pokemon.
So what's your favorite Pokemon?
Cubone.
Really?
Cubone is my favorite, dude. I want a full sleeve of him.
Squirtle's better.
I'm a Bulbasaur fan.
Get the fuck out of
Dude,
here. Get the fuck out.
Nobody
Nobody
who's on this shirt? Squirtle, Charizard, Meowth, Pikachu. There's a starter missing. It's Bulbasaur.
Nobody fucking.
Dude, he's a fucking
Who
cute
chooses
frog.
Bulbasaur?
Me, he's a cute
No
frog.
one.
I liked him.
Your
I liked him
first
as a
game, you
kid.
chose Bulbasaur.
Yep, chose Bulbasaur.
Horrible choice.
Eat my ass.
Horrible choice.
Okay, Charizard was too mainstream, and I also liked Growlithe. So I remember when the game came out, I'm like, I want Growlithe on my team. He's a fire type. And I was like, do I pick Squirtle or Venusaur? This is little baby me. I'm like, do I pick Squirtle or Bulbasaur? I'm like, well, Squirtle's a little bitch-ass turtle.
Who has cannons on his fucking thing when he's Blastoise?
Yeah, when he's got, let me just dribble out a little bit of water.
Fuck off, he's got hydro cannon.
Dude, Venusaur has a giant flower that shoots sun rays.
Isn't pollen just plant jizz? Yeah. So your guy is just shooting jizz.
Yeah.
So like,
how do we know Blastoise isn't either? Has it ever been confirmed to be real water? Hydro pump? That doesn't mention water.
A hydro pump and something. That's
Yeah,
what I'm pump and dump, bro.
Water,
Charizard is too mainstream though. I don't know why he got all the hype.
I mean, he's like a cool design, but
I get it, but why does he have all the hype?
and like every card of him is expensive.
Why though? What about Blastoise? What about Venusaur? And then you look at Charizard in the anime. He was a fucking dick.
Yep.
He was a dick.
Can you please fight this guy for me, Charizard?
And he's fucking sleeping.
Dude, Ash was also a little bitch. I'm gonna catch them all. Oh, I have a Thunderstone. Not gonna want my Pikachu.
You ever see the thing where it's like Professor Oak goes up to the mom or Ash and he goes, "So where's your dad?" "Oh, well, he hasn't been back in a very long time." Gives him a Pokedex. "Go take this and travel the world." He goes up to his mom and just takes off. All right. Professor Oak was an interesting guy.
Chad.
All right, bro. Well, thank you for coming on today.
Dude, I got your back.
All right, and thank you for your gift for coming on today. I'm going to donate $300 in your name for a koala.
Dude, I will spend all my GameStop money to wipe them out.
Wipe out the koala.
You don't even need to spend money to wipe. They'll wipe themselves out eventually.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for coming out. Thank you, Jeff Galvin, for coming again. We need to get the last Galvin on the show, and then we could have them all together for a nice reunion.
That would be a goop fest.
Yeah, someone definitely would get hurt. But
Oh, yeah.
all right. Well, thanks, guys.